Look, let's get into the stories making the news today. Obviously, Afghanistan continues to dominate the front pages. We want you now to listen to a head teacher. Her name is Amanda Dawson, and she's head teacher of Mellors Primary School in Nottingham. And it's been just an incredible weekend for you, Amanda, which has ended well, thankfully to say, because Amanda found out that two of her pupils in her school, aged 5 and 9, along with their 24-year-old sister and their mother, were in Afghanistan. They were trying to get out, Amanda, and they were getting nowhere. It was very, very frightening. So what did you do?
Well, I got a text message either Tuesday or Wednesday of last week from the 8-year-old pupil's teacher to say, Amanda, I think this family is in Afghanistan. So I phoned Dad straight away just to double check, really hoping that he would say that they were all home and safe. And actually, worst of all scenarios, he was at home with the 2 boys, but Mum, the elder sister, and the 2 younger children were trapped in Kabul. And he had no idea what to do. He didn't know what they needed to do. So I just made the decision. Well, I've got to do. Well, it wasn't even a decision, actually. I just thought I've got to find out what we do. Spent a couple of hours trawling the internet because, as I've said before, there isn't a handbook, a head teacher handbook for supporting families who are trapped in war zones. So I trawled the internet, and via the school Twitter account, I was able to find out the information for the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office. Also got in touch with our fabulous MP, Lillian Greenwood, and her team. And we were able to, I also got in touch with the media because I thought if we can give this some publicity, we may be able to shunt it forwards. But we were able to get them on the evacuation flight because what had happened was we got them to the airport, the compound and the safe house where they were encouraged to get to, but they couldn't get in. There was a Taliban blockade of the area and they were completely unable to get through. That was the most terrifying part for all of us, actually.
Well, we see those scenes, Amanda, at the airport, you know, the crush of people. Were you in touch with the children at this point? Did you have any contact with them? Were you able to talk to them?
I did. So from the very beginning, when I got in touch with Dad, he put me in touch with his elder daughter, who had her phone with her. So she and I were in constant contact through that time. And so during the time that they were that they couldn't get through, that the Taliban were blocking, they were trying to approach the gate to the airport, but the Taliban were preventing them. She told me that as a woman, there was no way she could have that conversation with a member of the Taliban. So their uncle was with them, but he was beaten in front of all of them and the children. He was beaten for even coming up and daring to suggest that they were UK citizens, that they had a flight and were able to get through. The children witnessed all of this, and the elder sister throughout the day, well, the 32 hours that they were there on the tarmac, she described that initially the Taliban were at the front, preventing them from getting through. But through the course of the day, there were armoured vehicles arriving full of Taliban soldiers. And by the end of the day, by dusk, the Taliban had blocked off the exit. So they were in effect corralled into a space, a huge number of people, all desperate to get out, corralled into a space and absolutely terrified. Gunshots, people being assaulted, people screaming, children really distressed. It was incredibly difficult for me to hear this and to look at the videos and listen to the voice notes that the children were sending to me.
Yeah, well, luckily for them, they had a Miss Dawson looking after them, but not everybody has got a Miss Dawson doing that. What were you able to do for them that made the difference, that got the breakthrough?
I was able to get them onto the evacuation list. I was calling it the repatriation list. It's actually the evacuation list, so that their names were called when they were at the gate, and I just told them, get to the gate, don't move. Get to the front and don't move. Whatever happens, don't let anybody move you out of the way. The kids were, one of the little boy was ill. I said, you keep him in the shade, do not move, which meant that when we'd managed to get their names onto the list, they were able to hear their names called and they were given safe passage through that Taliban cordon. But eventually the area was secured by UK and US troops, so it was safer for them to be there. I think it was the overnight, it may have been Thursday night overnight that they were at most at risk.
Yeah, well, thankfully they made that plane, they made it to Dubai, they've subsequently made it back into England. You're happy, everybody's happy. Have you spoken to the family yet? Have you been able to make contact?
We've had messages going backwards and forwards. So they landed probably 2.5 hours ago into Birmingham, which we're really, really happy about. It's a slightly bittersweet experience, though, because although I'm absolutely overjoyed and probably a little bit overwhelmed that they're back, once they'd got through into the safe house, they gave me all the details of their extended family members. Yes. Who are all at significant risk. So they have extended family members who were senior members of the Afghan judiciary, police force, armed forces, who are all at huge risk, grave danger. In fact, one of their younger uncles, who was, I think, an engineer and had worked for UK security forces, was visited at his home by the Taliban. His ID was taken away from him, and he was told in no uncertain terms that once the UK and US forces have gone, he'll be beheaded. And that's the same message to all of those family members.
So what
despite what they're saying in public, it's a different story in private.
Absolutely. And they've also, there's one of their extended family members, a young 14-year-old cousin was taken, a female cousin was taken by Taliban fighters.
So what do you think you can do now, Amanda, to help their extended family?
Well, I've been working with Lillian Greenwood and her team, Carol and David, who honestly, they've been superb. The whole team we've been working round the clock to make sure that we get all of that family's documentation, pass it on to the Foreign Office and make sure that those papers are being processed for them to be evacuated to safety. Because I'm under no illusion that if we don't get them out, they'll be beheaded, they'll be executed. And these are people that have helped us, they've supported us, and they've done, what they felt was the right thing for their country, trying to establish a free and democratic Afghanistan. And so they're in huge danger. And so I feel a personal duty and responsibility to do everything that I can to make sure that we get them out.
Well, it's incredible that you've got your two pupils and their older sister and mother out. Well done for all your efforts. You
well,
must
Amanda,
be hugely relieved.
I've heard of pastoral care from teachers before, but I mean, this is bringing it above and beyond the call of duty. It's a marvellous thing that you've done.
But it's the right thing to do. I think, in our primary school, two basic tenets above everything else are happy and safe. We have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that our community, and that's beyond the school gates, that everybody's happy and safe. And if we've got a member of our community that is unsafe, it's our duty and our responsibility to make sure that they're safe. And I always say it's my name above the door, a bit like a pub landlady. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm currently talking to another head teacher who has another family who can't get to, they're UK citizens from Nottingham. They can't even get through. They can't get through into the safe house. So they're 8 and 6. So it's exactly the same situation that we were in. But she and I, exactly the same. We have to get people to safety. It's what we're supposed to do as head teachers.
Well, our respect to you, Amanda.
Absolutely.
Well done. Thank you very much indeed. Amanda Dawson.
Thank you.
Not at all. She's the head teacher of Mellors Primary School in Nottingham, and we should say the family that she was dealing with, those two young children, they went to Afghanistan 6 weeks ago to attend a funeral of a family member, and then the Taliban swept across the country, of course, and they couldn't get out despite being British citizens.